Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today guys, I just wanted to do a relaxing Vinegar Syndrome 4K and Blu-ray recommendation video. As you know, we have the massive Black Friday Vinegar Syndrome sale this weekend, and I feel like I'm going to drop this video on a Friday, so it should be Black Friday today. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and happy Black Friday to everybody. So yeah, I don't know if all of these are going to be in stock still. I hope that they are. I don't know what has slipcovers and what doesn't. I was going to do the research for all of that, but I looked and Vinegar Syndrome's website is shut down right now. You can't view anything until Black Friday. They do that kind of stuff, guys. They shut down. They prepare for the massive onslaught of orders that they're going to get from midnight on, I think through Sunday night at midnight, the sale is running. So I'm definitely looking to stock up on a lot of stuff for sure, but I wanted to kind of point you guys in the right direction. Maybe some of you don't know the label of Vinegar Syndrome that well. I know I certainly didn't. A year ago, I hadn't watched one Vinegar Syndrome title. Well, almost 2 years ago now. I dove into it with one title that I'm going to show off in the stack here today. It was the beginning of 2022, and once I started diving in, I kept diving into the trash, kept going in, and then they started releasing like bigger titles, and I got even more excited about the label. And I just think that Vinegar Syndrome, they just know what the hell they're doing. And when you buy from Vinegar Syndrome, you just feel like you're in good, comfortable hands. Even though the movies aren't the best sometimes, they're not the best, but you know they're going to be packaged well. You're going to have nice limited slipcovers. The website's super organized and professional. And I just love my experience with Vinegar Syndrome, ordering from them, getting the releases in the mail. They're always packed very well. And, you know, experiencing the movies sometimes is a real treat. I've enjoyed a lot of stuff that I got from Vinegar Syndrome, but admittedly, there's a lot of trash in the Vinegar Syndrome catalog. So I'm going to try to point you in the right directions of some that I've watched and I've really enjoyed, and I think that you should add in your collection during this sale. Now, I think there's some kind of a stipulation with the sale. If it was released within the last 6 months, then it's not included in the sale or something like that. So I'm going to try not to recommend anything that's been released over the past 6 months, which, to be honest, I haven't really watched a lot that's come out in the past 6 months anyway, because I just think that they haven't had the strongest 2023 overall. But let's get into it. I got a stack right here, guys. I think I've got like 15 titles or so from Vinegar Syndrome. Let's start off with Tik's on 4K. So I know this thing had like a really nice box set edition, but I just got the 4K right here. This was sent to me by my friend Joe Martinez. So he wanted me to watch Tik's. I watched it, I think, at the beginning of this year. Really enjoyed it. It's a fun creature feature for sure. Don't expect a movie like Arachnophobia, but it's like, well, I guess it's like Arachnophobia if the spiders got really big and like jumped on you and eat your face off. That's what Tik's is, but it's a fun movie. It's not meant to be taken super seriously, but I enjoyed it. And I thought this 4K looked freaking spectacular. Like, that's the thing about Vinegar Syndrome. That's going to be the theme of the video, is all of the 4Ks from Vinegar Syndrome. Like, they know how to do a proper 4K restoration on these. Again, these are not masterpieces. Well, a couple of them may be. But they know how to clean up a turd for sure and just make it look so freaking good that you think the movie's better than it actually is. And that's what Tik's is. I like Tik's though. It's a good movie. Definitely recommend it in the Vinegar Syndrome sale. Amityville Horror. So this is a legitimate masterpiece in the Vinegar Syndrome catalog for sure. When they announced this, I kind of sat up a little bit and I was like, oh, this is what we're doing at Vinegar Syndrome now? You guys are going to start releasing shit like this? Like, that's awesome. So I was very excited when they announced this. I pre-ordered it immediately, and this is such a nice slipcover for this movie. But yeah, if you haven't seen the Amityville Horror, like, it's a classic horror film, 1979. If you like movies like The Conjuring, some of the haunted house films that have come out in years since this one, that's basically every haunted house movie, you know, where the family moves in and the ghost kind of takes over, supernatural shit happens. Like, it's all inspired by Amityville Horror. Like, that's the template here. And it's got a great cast. James Brolin, who's Josh Brolin's dad. You got Margot Kidder in this film. Great horror film. I love this movie, and I thought the 4K looked absolutely outstanding, so highly recommend that one. That's a top recommendation. This is also a top recommendation. I really had a lot of fun with this movie. The Invisible Maniac, or I think it's just Invisible Maniac, but I really, it's not great, but I really had a lot of fun with the movie. The teacher, if I remember correctly, it's been about a year since I've seen it, but he's trying to develop some kind of a serum to make himself invisible. He takes it. It doesn't work immediately. Everybody laughs him out of the building. He figures it out, does turn invisible, then becomes then he gets like locked up in an institution because he goes crazy. Then he, again, gets the invisible serum to work, breaks out, becomes the substitute teacher for these kids in this school. He's like peeping on the girls in the shower because he's invisible. And then he just starts butchering people in the school. And it's just such a fun movie. And some of the kills are so like out there, like way over the top, but also really awesome as well. So I do recommend The Invisible Maniac. It's definitely a lot of fun. I don't know if you can still get it with the slipcover though. That's the thing. Rush Week. I think I bought this at one of the sales that happened this year, maybe the $10 sale. Hopefully Vinegar Syndrome does that again this year for subscriber week. But I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was a fun kind of, college slasher film. Again, nothing too special, but it was pretty fun. Had a good kind of whodunit premise and left you guess until the end. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun slasher on a college campus, like Rush Week certainly fits the bill, and I do recommend this one. I had a lot of fun with it for sure. Another one I had a lot of fun with, kind of a generic camp slasher. You could tell it was inspired by Friday the 13th for sure. But it has this kind of twist of this girl like baseball, softball team that kind of gets attacked and they're taking revenge. So it's kind of fun in that way, but Blood Games was a really fun movie. And again, it's super over the top and it's kind of campy and cheesy, but I really like this one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun for what it was. Now, both of these, I would actually highly recommend these movies. I think they're both really, really good and fun and entertaining. The first one's probably a little bit better than the second one, but the second one just really goes for it. So I like that one also. But both the Freeway movies, and I love these matching slips as well. That was so smart of Vinegar Syndrome to do and release these like within months of each other. They released these. I think this one came out last November or December, and this one came out in March. But both of these were just a whole lot of fun. I do think that this one is kind of underrated just from a performance standpoint, because Reese Witherspoon in Freeway may be her best performance, and she's had a lot of great performances. Reese is a great actress, but I just really loved her in this movie. I thought she really put on a great performance. She was very young in this film. It was the same year that she did the movie Fear with Mark Wahlberg, but I thought she was so good in this movie. It's very tense, but there's also some moments of comedy, slapstick. It's way over the top. It's the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and it kind of takes it all the way to the end where you got Kiefer Sutherland kind of playing the grandma, the wolf as the grandma. So it's kind of a little like meta in that way, the way it kind of follows the children's storybook premise, while it's also doing this very like dark storyline as well. But Reese is great. I loved her in this movie. And this 4K is maybe one of the best I've ever seen Vinegar Syndrome do. It just looks so perfect. There's such a great, it's a very heavy grain structure, but you could still make out everything. It still looked crystal clear, but you could tell there was a lot of grain too. I don't know how they did it, but just one of the best, heaviest, most dense, 4K, weighty 4Ks that I've ever seen. You could just tell there was a lot of substance to this 4K. And I loved it. Thought it looked great, and I thought the movie was awesome. This one's got Natasha Lyonne. Really goes for it. Goes off the rails. But I like this one too. This is following the Hansel and Gretel storyline, kind of keeping with the children's storybook theme. But really good movie as well. Confessions of a Trick Baby. And that one looked great on 4K also. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on 4K. This is a top recommendation. This looked so great in 4K, but the special features are really outstanding. They took all the Scream Factory special features, ported those over, but added tons of new ones as well. including interviews with Carolina Williams, which is really awesome. But you take this out of this side loading slip box, which I don't even know if these are still available. But then you have the original poster art, which is like the Breakfast Club theme, which is super awesome back in the day. But I just love this slipcover. You take it out of the slipcover, and then you got the artwork for the cover. But yeah, I ordered this immediately as soon as they announced it. This was another big one they did last year. Like I said, they were doing Amityville, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like, Vinegar Syndrome was like, hey, we're going there, guys. We're going a little bit more mainstream. We're going to attract more people to the label. And then it just feels like after they did that, it was just boo, whoop. But hopefully they end the year on a high note with a couple of really cool announcements this weekend. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, top recommendation. This is actually, I would say, my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love that movie. Madman on 4K. I thought this looked really great for the kind of movie it is. You know, kind of a Friday the 13th inspired slasher film, but the character of Madman Mars was really kind of creepy. I like the way they lit him and showed him, like right before he attacked somebody. And yeah, I thought this was a good movie. Really good music as well. I love the song that plays at the beginning. Some of the performances aren't the best, but I think they're good for what this movie is. And it's a fun kind of camp slasher film. And I do like the Madman character, but I thought the 4K looked really great. There was a couple of weak spots you could tell they couldn't properly restore, but beyond that, looked really good on 4K for sure. And this was one that was kind of a surprise. I ordered this on a whim. I was just like, I'm just going to check this out and see how it is. But Primal Rage, which is a movie about some kids getting infected. It's not even, you think it's kind of about like killer monkeys or something by the cover. That's not really what it is. The virus comes from a monkey and it infects people and kind of turns them into quote unquote the undead. It's kind of like a zombie type film, infection virus type movie. But there's a scene at the end. I say that watch this around Halloween because it's a really good Halloween movie, and you don't even know it's trying to be a Halloween movie till you get to this big like dance at the end, and it's just got tons of Halloween decorations, and the movie just feels like it's a Halloween film, you know, for about 30 minutes at the end. But it's really a lot of fun, and I like the characters, I like the performances, and I do recommend it. I thought the 4K looked really great. I remember when I did my top 10 4Ks of the year so far, I think at the midpoint of this year, or maybe the 3-month mark, I think this was like top 5 for me. And there's a whole documentary here, a whole like brand new 90-minute documentary. That's the thing with Vinegar Syndrome, is they'll just straight up add new documentaries in their releases, like straight up 90-minute documentaries. Instead of doing a few 5-minute long interviews, they'll go for an entire 90-minute documentary. I think Freeway 2 had a 90-minute documentary as well, which was really cool. But great stuff here. I do recommend this movie. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of just a zombie infection type film where people get infected and then they attack others and bite them. It's kind of like that kind of thing. I know I'm describing these movies horribly, guys, but I'm sorry. I'm trying. Flesh Eater, which has the zombie Bill Hinsman, sorry guys, the original zombie from Night of the Living Dead, the guy that comes out at the beginning in the cemetery with Barbara. And that's Bill Hinsman. And all these years later, I think this is from the 80s, he decided to direct and star in his own zombie film, and that is Flesh Eater. Now, I will admit, when the movie started, I was like, oh, this is going to be extremely cheap, low budget. Like, what am I watching? These performances are horrible. Some of the worst I've ever seen. I didn't think I was going to like this movie at all, but then there's a point in the movie where it just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and just really goes for it with the whole zombie apocalypse thing. And to the point where I was like, all right, I kind of dig this movie a lot. So by the time I got to the end, I really enjoyed Flesh Eater, and I do recommend this on 4K. I thought the 4K looked outstanding. There's some really good features on here as well. I think there's a new commentary, and new interviews and all kinds of stuff here. So some great stuff. I do highly recommend Flesh Eater. It's not as good as Night of the Living Dead for sure, but there's a lot of good gore here, and it's a lot of fun. And like I said, it gets big with the idea of the zombie apocalypse, far bigger than I thought it was going to for sure. So I do recommend that. Showgirls, I don't know if this VSU edition's still available. Last I saw, I thought they had plenty of copies left, but again, I couldn't check this stuff. But like, you gotta get Showgirls. It's one of the cheesiest, like, so bad it's good movies of the 90s, directed by the great Paul Verhoeven. And because it was directed by Paul Verhoeven, you kind of get the sense that it's all intentional, which kind of makes the movie, in my opinion, an unintentional masterpiece. And I did watch it this year with my wife. She watched it with me. And it's a lot of fun. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, as the theme with a lot of the Vinegar Syndromes I'm talking about. But it's a fun movie. Elizabeth Berkley dances her ass off in this film. And that was a big deal at the time because she shows a lot of skin. This movie gets to the point where there's just boobs all the time. And you get completely desensitized by the boobs everywhere. Because, like, usually in a movie, you're like, oh, there's some boobs. And you get a little excited. With this movie, it's like, there's always boobs. There's like, when there's a scene without boobs, it's a little weird. So that's what Showgirls is. But Elizabeth Berkley, she was on Saved by the Bell. Innocent Elizabeth Berkley on Saved by the Bell got naked and just showed everything in Showgirls. And but beyond that, it's a good story. I enjoy the actual film itself. But this edition is just top tier. Open this up. You got all kinds of good stuff on the inside, booklets, and I thought this 4K just looked immaculate. I thought it was one of the best 4Ks I had seen all year. Vinegar Syndrome knows how to do 4K, and Showgirls is beautiful. Absolutely stunning restoration. I think the Vegas setting really helps with that. And this is a movie that I've loved since I was a kid. I was so happy when they announced this Sidekicks, this nice VSU edition. Again, I don't know if the VSU is going to be available or not, but if it is, get this thing because it's awesome. These VSUs are just awesome in general. But you open this up and you got this right here, which is kind of like a magazine kind of deal. Well, no, that's the actual slipcover. Sorry, guys. The magazine is underneath, which is really cool. You got some, even like a coupon for knives on the back. So, and then the artwork on the inside. I've always loved this movie. I talked about this before. When I was a kid, I did not watch The Karate Kid. I had never seen The Karate Kid. I watched Sidekicks with Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris. This was my Karate Kid when I was a kid, and I loved the movie. So I highly recommend this. You know, I think it's a great release. Tons of great special features. This movie had never gone beyond VHS before this release. So this was definitely a dream release that I was so excited when they announced it. So do recommend Sidekicks for sure. Roadhouse. You got to get Roadhouse on 4K. I said that this was the best 4K of 2022. I stand by that. Vinegar Syndrome knows how to do 4Ks. This was a great release. There's some great features, hours of new features. They ported over all of the Shout Factory features as well. And what a beautiful edition. This edition I know is not still available, so you'll have to just get the regular 4K. But what an edition. What a movie. I loved the movie. Thought the transfer was great. The features were great. Such a great edition. This is a must own. If you're looking for non-horror titles, definitely recommend Roadhouse, Sidekicks. Like, that's pretty much the entire VSU line. They don't do horror titles in that line. And I got one more recommendation I'm going to pull over here, and that is Cloak and Dagger. This is a really fun 80s kids, charming kids adventure film starring Henry Thomas from E.T. I do recommend Cloak and Dagger on 4K if you don't have this one, and the 4K looked incredible on that one as well. So there you have it, guys. That is my Vinegar Syndrome recommendations to you. I hope I gave you some valuable information. I definitely have a lot that I haven't watched yet, so I need to watch some more of my Vinegar Syndromes for sure. But thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a happy and safe Black Friday and Cyber Monday as well. I'm sure you'll be seeing more of me and more videos over this weekend, but turn on the bell notifications for all future videos and follow me on all my social media accounts down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.